your mind on an understanding of the carbon credits and the implications.
Thank you very much. Carbon credit is the permit given for transaction in carbon trading. And carbon trading means that at least there's a specific limit that is given to countries to emit carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And there are countries that emit less carbon dioxide in the country, and such countries are hired, for lack of a better word, by countries that are banking more on industrialization and producing more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So basically, I think I've answered your question. Umepata answer hapo katikati?
Well, it's your favorite show, the show that brings you the biggest conversation. It's Let's Be Real. And of course, this week we tackle various issues. Some very salient, some national, some, I don't know what Simon will say. But anyway, I'm your host, CEO Charles Otieno. And I'm joined by a beautiful panel, and of course, the lost one. She's back.
Hello. Esther here.
First time on set with me.
Well, Esther, welcome. Karibu sana, of course. And we have the most ever beautiful and polite.
Very polite.
Everyone should hear that.
Very polite.
Maria.
Let's introduce yourself, guys.
Yeah, good.
Hi, I'm Maria, and welcome back to Let's Be Real. Oh, let me tell you, it was an amazing Women's Day, by the way.
Oh.
It was amazing, even for me. Like, I don't know why I felt accomplished, and it was just a day. I don't know why. I had a great time. The show last week was amazing. I hope you all watched. I'm back, and this is Maria Nyambane Waweru, an author of 2 books, Love the Original You and Marriage is a Scam. I'm also very beautiful, by the way,
I say.
and polite.
I say.
And humble.
I say.
Yeah, wow, I love that.
Esther?
Yes.
I am Esther Nyonje. I'm a political risk analyst, but that doesn't make me an uptight person. Please don't view me that way. I'm a commentator, a moderator, and I host my own show on YouTube. You just type Esther Nyonje. The show is called Kenya Explained. It delves into social, economic, and political affairs of the country and creates a space for us to have conversations like this and dialogue. Thank you for having me today.
That's cute. That's
Welcome.
actually really good. Welcome.
My part in society.
Hey, and she's doing it. And my part in society, as Simon says, I'm a content creator. What do? I create content that makes you smile and think at the same time. At the same time, I also use my voice to enhance a message that you may have. So in case you want to do that, reach out to me, Simon says, mind you, on all social media platforms. But right here, you know what we do? We keep it real. And how do we get started? With CEO giving us his first story.
Well,
Talk to me, my brother.
Well, I think it's a planting season, ladies and gentlemen. As usual, Kenya has 2 main seasons for planting. It's the long rains and the short rains. And of course, these are the long rains. And our president, William Samoei Ruto, has always been insisting on subsidizing production. And when you say you want to subsidize production, it means that you have to basically distribute fertilizers to the farmers so that the farmers can afford a fertilizer, because the cost of a fertilizer, a normal cost of fertilizer is around 6,000.
Yeah.
But the government distributes it at 2,500. That means it is subsidized by the whole margin there for farmers for better food production. But recently, we've seen an expose where a Kenyan was packaging sand and selling to farmers as fertilizer, basically conning Kenyans. What is your take, Simon?
First of all, hey, this is what the economy has brought us to. Oh, what's going on now? What is going on? But this shows us the lengths in which, when someone finds a loophole, we're willing to actually now take full advantage of it and now disregarding the final product. Here's what I mean. For example, that person is repackaging, literally getting sand, siphoning it all out, packaging it nicely with a name. And guess what they put in there? Kebs. Very nicely. Because farmers know whenever I see Kebs,
I'm safe.
I'm good. That's literally the main thing. And now what happens is the farmer themselves, they suffer. Because now they're starting to put that fertilizer onto their crops, and that does not lead to now food being actually not being produced. And guess who suffers? There's less food in the market, and hence the price of food still goes up. Not to mention they even want to add tax even on bread. Now, and another thing, it's true, by the way.
And milk.
And milk.
And milk.
And now, with all this going on, even with all this expose, what's really going to happen? Is it just going to be a knee-jerk reaction towards now, ni wewe, no, it's your fault. No, it's everybody's fault. No, no, it's cabs. No, it's whatever. Is it just another press conference for just another rotation of blame game? Or is there actually going to be real subsidies for real fertilizer, not fake makeup fertilizer here that they made up from nothing? And then now farmers actually get now what they actually bargained for. And the main thing is this, the lack of trust in government is going to be real serious. Because now that KEBS certificate thing is losing credibility. And that's going to be a big issue when you're now starting to sell to farmers and telling them this is certified by KEBS. Oh, do we want to listen to you now? That's the main thing.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. I went through the whole story, the expose by African Uncensored. Yeah. And there was the flow of the whole story because there was a prolonged drought season. And then there was the UK-Russia war that led to the reduction of food production. That's what I mean. Yeah. And now the government had to step in to provide the subsidized fertilizers for the farmers. And then there was the loophole of the availability of fake fertilizers in the market. Now, going through that expose, I saw that there was a whole site at Kariandusi. People are actually employed to do that. They package the sand into the packages, the fertilizer packages. They put the name, the GAP name, they put I think it's SP, the SP name there, and the standardization mark of KEBS. And then it circulates to counties, Meru, Embu, Kisii, where? And now the question I asked myself was that even in transportation, the driver confessed that the police were not stopping them.
Because it's government.
You know? See, if you and I decided to open a shop and put some illegal drugs there, the police would come for us tomorrow.
Of course.
Tomorrow, we would go far. But these fertilizers were transported throughout the country for a while, since 2020. And then, of course, names of interest, persons of interest. That person was from the 2020 government, from 2020. So in Uhuru's government, he's still in this government. And then in his defense, he says that these are not fertilizers, they're what? Soil boosters.
We're boosting your soil.
He says they're soil boosters, and that is after KEBS comes after them.
Interesting.
Okay. And then you see, KEBS, why is KEBS waiting for an expose by an independent media channel? What is their work?
Let me tell you something. Nowadays, I always say KEBS are also the media. They just come to report. That's what they do. We have milk has this, meat has this. They always come to report. Because I feel like by now they would have known that this fertilizer was existing. It was a very long time. And this is now going to create a loophole for people to produce bad things and put a KEBS mark, because KEBS will only come to report when they find us. And because they are not doing due diligence, they're not going to find us until now it's a big deal, and then the soil is not enhanced the way the fertilizer was supposed to do. That is when they realize now we need to do that. Because I don't think KEBS would not have been aware from 2020 to now.
You can imagine.
They were aware. They just reporting because they've had the news. It's like something erupts and then all bloggers are there. KEBS are doing that. Yes.
And then you see the people who suffer. The ripple effect is on the farmers. That mama in the village who confessed saying, I wish I'd invested this money in my kids' school fees and not on planting, because using that fertilizer that looks like sand, because they said that when it was tested, the nitrogen percentage was low, the phosphorus percentage is low. So people in the village may not be aware of how they're not aware of fertilizer or how legit fertilizer looks like. So the mama says, I wish I had taken this money to my kids' school fees. And you see, this is someone who is sacrificing all she has into production, into putting food on the table. And then someone is seated up there and controlling all things like their God. I usually say, you know what? Time and death equalizes us all.
It's not education. Anyway.
Yeah, it's not education.
Education.
I think one of the biggest problems, and you've really captured it very well, ladies and gentlemen, is that this year's fertilizer, the arrival of fertilizer has been late. Last year, I'll give you a brief history. Last year, the company which was mandated by the government, the government always invites bids for people to distribute fertilizer. Yara were the winners of the bid last year. And it was easy because they have capacity, so they distributed fertilizer at real time and quickly, and people got it easier, and the farmers. This year, the government tried to send the bid out. Most of the companies who tendered quoted a higher price. So they went with a company, I think they're going with Mavuno, and I do not believe Mavuno has that capability of distributing it as quickly as it used to be. Remember, in some parts of this country, it's already rainy season. People are already planting. Fertilizer is supposed to land this week from Russia. Remember, we import our fertilizer from either Russia, Ukraine, or Morocco. Morocco has the biggest phosphate in the world, so they produce more fertilizer than any other country as well. So in Kenya, we can't produce fertilizer because, and that's why I ask Kenyans, you must be also read a bit, understand that Kenya cannot produce fertilizer. We do not have phosphate in this country, so you have to import. Phosphate is only available in some countries which I've mentioned. So if someone goes to Kariandusi to say that he's bringing you soil boosters, it is neither here nor there, because you do not have that mineral here which produces.
The soil booster does not require phosphorus.
It
They
doesn't.
tell you that. That's
And then secondly, I always ask myself, these farmers, you know very well that you're supposed to go and pick your fertilizer from NCPB. Government structured method warehousing. You do not go and buy fertilizer from any other shop very easily during the planting season, because the government sells you fertilizer at 2,500. The distribution of that one bag of fertilizer from the person who distributes it charges the government 5,500. So the government pays for the difference. So now you are lied to and you go and buy sand at a higher price. Just ask as a farmer, go to NCPBA, ask whether there is government fertilizer, whether it has come.
But you know, CEO,
Yeah.
the perpetrators of the soil fertilizers were selling them from NCPB, because if you see their receipts, they have NCPB.
That's why I'm saying, ask yourself, when are the fertilizer arriving? For now, we are sure the fertilizer will arrive in this country. When the shipment comes, it is a national event.
But you see, these farmers are not even aware of how to know that the fertilizer will come on this day and this day.
But
for them, it's like the
pushing the responsibility to the farmer is not the right angle.
It's not.
And here's what I mean by that. Because saying that the farmer should not take responsibility to now check whatever, which is now the wrong thing, is now saying that now the onus is actually on the government stating and saying that this is a credible body and to we go ahead and buy it from here. And then when we go there to buy, we actually don't get the very thing in which we pursue. You see what I mean?
Yes, I get you very well, but the question has always been, the government will tell you, the unscrupulous dealers will be there.
Yes.
In every business.
Yes.
We have seen it in sugar.
Yeah.
You remember the sugar which we were trying to ban in the other day, they go down here around Kariobangi, the other area. The maize aflatoxin. Every business, and that's what I'm saying, any commodity which has a mass, either farming or the consumption, there will be people who are trying to make quick bucks out of it.
Yeah.
And the government should be aware.
And the government is aware.
Is aware.
Is that because?
And for you, I just want to protect the farmer, because if you wait for your government,
the farmers should be keen. They should be keen.
And I'm sure, even if tomorrow and we stayed here and told the government to do this, the government will tell you, we have NCBBA, but the government will not police their warehouses. So it is you as a farmer, that's why I'm coming, it's you as a farmer to realize that you might be easily be conned by the characters who are working for NCBBA also. So you must ask yourself, is it the right fertilizer which is coming in?
Okay.
Yeah, but then the communication getting to the farmers, some farmers do not have that communication.
But you see what I'm saying? They don't have that communication.
Yes.
But if you've been farming for long, like
You should be aware.
you should actually be aware that the easiest way you'll be conned. Remember, farmers, I want you to understand that the current group of farmers we have today are either tech farmers, they use their phones. There are too many, we did a research and I can tell you there are more mobile farmers than traditional farmers. You are seated here, Simon, and you have a farm. Yeah. You have a farm hand. I'm here, I have a farm. Right now I'm preparing my land, I want to do garlic.
Wow. Yeah.
You see? But I want to do garlic, but I'm not in the village. So I will tell my farm hand or my people who work in my farm, this is the time, because the government sent you, and for all of us who do farming, they send you, there's something which comes on an SMS when the fertilizers are ready and the bags which you have been allocated. They send you that message. So you go and ask, where is my bags? If you follow the way it is, you'll know whether you're being conned. But if you want to go earlier without that, or you didn't register, you'll just go and buy. But the best thing is to register so that you are put in that, they register all farmers, so that you can get to know when the fertilizers are coming, so that that message comes to your phone and you see the fertilizers are ready now, go and pick. But if you go beyond that system, then you easily fall for these characters.
And I agree with you when you say that people should now be aware, because we are in a digital age.
Yeah.
If I have the information can reach my mother in the village. Even if she doesn't have a smartphone, I know my mom is a farmer or my auntie, and I can tell her this and this is happening. So people should be aware, and that's why we're even here in media to pass that message. At the same
but
time,
that does not absolve the government's
yes,
people's
at the
crime.
same time, government should take its responsibility, because we voted in the government to provide services and to ensure that
And
there's sufficient accountability and provision of those services and goods to the people. Because, like you said, if the government it's always a story of a scandal comes up, and you know these scandals are with very crucial commodities, mosquito nets, oil, now it's sugar, now it's fertilizers. You see, these are very crucial commodities to the people of Kenya. Now, it's always this person, we put the name, and then the story dies like that. We don't see accountability, we don't see transparency, we don't even hear people arraigned and taken to jail for corruption in this sector.
Okay, let's move to
Another scandal.
another scandal. Another scandal. Yeah, an organization lost 15 million. Yes. There's a lot of thievery with employees right now, because they lost 15 million and they're going to be arraigned in Kiambu police stations. Let's also not forget that there was a scandal of G4S of 72 million a while back. Yeah. What do you guys think about this issue?
About what? Employees stealing?
About employees stealing. Because this one was so smart. Like, this one was smart, really smart. Like, you even changed the number of where they send the money, and people have been sending, and you lost all that amount.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that story, actually. It was two Kiambu ladies. I don't remember their names. Maybe one of them was Erica or I can't remember their names,
Catherine.
but Catherine, yes.
Yes.
The main thing, here's something I admire. First of all, we Kenyans are very good to learn from our government, learning how to steal tactically. And then now here's the thing. And here's the thing. And here's the thing. I know. I'm missing. We're employing the same time. Yeah. But here's the thing. Something I even admire is that the fact that they were able to consistently steal the span from 2020 all the way, they just caught recently. Just because of a small transaction. And it's always like a small transaction that catches you. Remember that, thieves, okay? Remember that.
Your day is coming.
Yes.
Your day is
and
coming.
it's always that thing. They were very strategic in the way that she would actually talk to the client, and then they'll tell the client, hey, listen, something's wrong with this account. You can now send the funds here. We shall continue. Then, of course, she would go to the account section and make sure that every single checks and balance are balanced visually, so that nothing is.
That's smart.
No, listen. Tactically, you have to also be smart. You also know how this was actually implemented. And it was 2 ladies. Women Empowerment Month. Congratulations.
Come on.
Now here's the
Human empowerment.
But here's the thing. But I like the fact that they were able to now execute this clinically amongst them too, themselves. There's one junior officer, there's one up above. So then, hence, now this other person was supposed to handle the funds practically. And even one of them was there was just a miscommunication that led to them being caught. The issue, even with the G4S ones, usually eventually you do get caught if you're not able to back up your balances accordingly. Because now when the police came in, they now planted and they saw, oh, this is how you guys are stealing the funds. And they're stealing over how much? 15M in a span of 4 or 5 years, 4 years now. The key thing is this. Employees, they will find a loophole if they feel a level of oppression. And there's always that if there's not proper standard operating procedures within your company. And a lot of people who know these are the people who have phone shops all across Nairobi. And they know what happens is those 2 receipts books can always be duplicated. Hii umeuza leo nini wapi. You get the phone you now sell it at a cheaper price, and that's what a lot of these guys do. You don't have proper checks and balances to now accountability. People steal when an opportunity is actually there. If they see that indeed my actions are going to be held accountable, they take a step back and say, wait, I need to not, let me stay with the job I have, considering that how many people actually out here don't have jobs. But if I see I can get away with this, a minute extra or whatever, and I can see how this is what actually makes sense. Let me try one. Oh, I see that one went through. Again, what happens is the thirst comes more, and you end up stealing 15 million over the course of several years. So that thirst will actually now eventually get you caught in many ways. So literally what I say is this. Lack of standard operating procedures in your business and loopholes is what leads to people actually seeing opportunities to actually do that. And remember, people are selfish innately.
Yeah.
If you see an opportunity, and then you see your friend there is actually maximizing on it, unless you snitch on them, you most likely join them.
Yeah. Because even the G4S officers, when they were caught stealing the 90 million from Quickmart, you know, many Kenyans were like, hey, hata ingekuwa mimi, hata mimi ningeiba. Everyone was, you could ask people, you could ask single people, if it were you, 90M, hata mimi ningechukua niende nayo. So you see what he's talking about? It's the trickle-down corruption and thievery and robbery, silent robbery from the top to our people now. And then when you talk about standard operating procedures, very important for every organization, because I am aware that these 2 women were not professionals in their areas of work. So if every organization wants to cover the loopholes, then they have to do background checks for their employees. They have to not be tough, but be professional. Have that professional approach with your employees, but at the same time, treat your employees well. Don't treat them like they are below you, or give them poor work etiquette in the office. Treat them well so that they can give you the services in a professional setting, and then do their background checks, of course. Yeah. That's what I have to say.
I feel like, first of all, they're smart. Me, I have to congratulate them. They're really smart.
Appreciate other women.
They're really smart. No, they did not do the right thing, Simon. I'm just saying they're smart.
Yes.
Because having to come up with a thought like that and then execute it to a point that you can make yourself, that is smart. But also, I feel it seems like that company had only them. They relied on them on the finances, because if there were like 2 people who approve and confirm some things, then it will be hard for you as 3 people confirming and looking. One of you must be scared to do that. So it will be hard to steal. You know, some organizations, they're like, you are the one in accounts, you're staying in accounts, just you. So kuna that trust of the boss had so much trust in them for them to have gotten there.
Yeah.
Because if the boss was sure that this is a human being, now this department, I'm giving at least 3 people, you will check, you will confirm, you will approve, then one of them would have been scared at least. But because they were just the only ones, and that's where standard procedure comes in, whereby now that you have them, this is the procedure. You start, you go, then you finish. So one of you will be caught easier. However, this is the truth. If Kenyans are told today, put yourself in the shoe of those women,
They would want to be them.
they would want to be them. But times are hard. The economy is really hard. So if
And people are
What are
finding
you
new
it's
saying,
ways
wrong,
of
Maria?
survival.
I am saying it's wrong.
What
They're
are you saying?
finding ways of
I
survival.
am saying it's wrong.
Maria, what are you actually saying?
It is wrong.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, what do you think, Zia? What do you think?
First of all, I wondered why a whole company would have not established a system where when you receive money, there's always nowadays a very digital system
For
where you will
audits.
track money,
Yes.
you will know where money lands in, and a big company like that should not have 2 people who can do the same thing. Any accounts in any business firm should always have an accounting system where no one has the sight of the money from one end to the other. It is not allowed. That is just poor organization. Because you are not allowed for one person to sit in accounts, to receive, to give account, to collect. The moment you give such power to 1 or 2 individuals, you are basically putting that person at a temptation. You will tempt him because, or her, because he has oversight of all funds. He can receive, he can tell you where to put it, he can withdraw it. There's no one, there's no organization, even a shopkeeper cannot allow people who work in his accounts to do that. So they need to re-examine their systems and employ better systems of controlling cash transfer, cash receivables, and payables. It's very easy.
But you see, they would have done this. Like, you know, you are my cousin. You want to work for me. Come, take the job. So it's like because I know you, I trust you. That's why I'm giving you the mandate to do everything for me.
G4S is a big company.
Yes.
It's not someone.
It's not
And that's what I'm
So I'm saying the
It's
women.
yeah,
I'm talking
but
about the
I'm
women.
also saying that every company, if you're talking about G4S, it has imprints in very many countries.
Yeah.
It means it is not a small organization.
I get you. I totally understand what you're saying, but here's the practical essence of it all. Here's the thing. It's not necessarily trusting 2 people.
Yeah.
Here's the system aspect of it all, and here's what I mean by that. The money comes in from the client. The first point of contact is with one individual. Now the thing is, if you have the ability to give the perception that the funds have actually been there because you use a manual method of imprinting what has been received in the account sector, what happens is now I'm able to come and report to you, hey, we have only received 1,000 shillings when in fact I got 10. So what happens is that 9 is actually now, that 1 is recorded in the books, but the 9 is literally now what's actually transferred somewhere else. That lack of actual digitization of systems, that's what happens in a lot of Kenyan systems. It's still there, pen, how much? Then it's literally that.
Yeah.
And there's no actual, even the electronic part, if you're still inputting, there's still a human element to it.
Yes.
There's the input that you have to put. Just even you say if miss, even these other things that you even see in government, there's a human element to it. So even there's a trust factor in which you actually need to do, hence why the problem I have is when you see it extend over several years, that's when you know it's a standard operating procedure issue. Because when it's just 1 or 2
But
months,
you know, it takes a lot of
I agree with
planning.
you, Simon,
Yeah.
and my
Yes.
take is very simple. These women are not working alone.
Yes, they are not.
They're not.
It's like the issue.
It is
whereby they
it's a
build-
whole, they are the people who are at the center of it, but when the investigations will be done,
More people
you'll
will
be
come up.
shocked of the whole way the
The
money
web.
was being transferred, the web.
and they're only caught because one of them bought a Harrier, and then they actually now, and they could not allocate how you get the Harrier from you burning your 30,000 shillings. That's why when you're stealing, please make sure you steal ethically and you live within your means.
You live
Sour
frugally.
thing.
And the other thing before we go for the break, the other thing is that when you look at banks and their system, they do the rotational thing for their staff. So that one staff does not stay in one place for that long to understand the system, to maneuver that system. You disrupt them a bit, take them to another place.
But you know, even banks have had the inside job of stealing. You remember the tunnel that was built? Like someone just built a tunnel to go steal in.
Yeah, that was an outside smart person like this one.
You see, that's the point.
But
So
my point
even
is, with organizations, they should also consider rotating their staff so that someone cannot get used to a system in so long and understand it well and be able to steal from it.
All right.
And now we continue to keep it real. Don't touch the style.
Well, welcome back. Thank you so much for maintaining right here on Let's Be Real. Hey, we're having a real conversation right here on the break about morality and actually, CEO said that money is not everything. CEO, are you serious?
Of course.
No, what do you mean by but money has a lot to do with everything.
Money is good.
Yes.
Money is something you need to live.
Yeah.
But money is not everything in life.
But those are things that are said by people who have money.
Probably I have.
But those are things that is the truth.
He has enough.
Okay. Speaking of morals by this year, let me tell you about some people who are chasing money, forgetting morality. Hey, Kilimani, you know what? Let me tell you what's going on over there. So in Kilimani, the MP of Kilimani, her name was, remind me,
Beatrice Elachi.
Beatrice
Elachi. Thank you so much. So she was saying, you know what? I'm the watchdog of my community.
At night, when you walk in Kilimani at night, which I do, nowadays I've had to be a policeman also. I will find young people all over. How they are dressed, we have decided that is our value. I don't know what is Kenya, and I don't know what is happening with our country. We have decided to become Sodom and Gomorrah, and we don't care completely. We have just let our country like that. And so when you look, I met all of them university students. I am like, what the heck?
She goes out there with her rungu like a true watchman. She says, you know what, I have to see. What is my constituents about? She says, out there at night, roaming, are these college girls. They're saying, what's going on? They have dressed up very scantily. And she's like, what? These are my constituents. What are they doing here? Apparently, they're saying money is everything. And these ladies are out here chasing any way that they can actually acquire that money. And not only that, even there was a lady, Kemuta, she said out here that indeed people are out here doing the most to get that coin. And one thing that I've actually even seen with even Gen Zs, even this younger generation, is that the number one priority, does it bring me money? Can I escape poverty with this thing? And something that I've even seen, even had a conversation with a friend of mine, her name was Erica. She actually, were having a conversation, she was like, a lot of times what the issue is that ladies will actually say, you know what, this pain that I'm going through, soft life is my life. If this man is offering me, yes, I deserve it. I am a baby girl. Yes, I am. Yes, I deserve to sleep. I deserve that iPhone. I deserve that iPhone in my bedsitter. In my bedsitter, yes. I deserve it because I am worthy. You know what? You know that everything. So that self-affirmation, that Gen Z have that, and we are, and the whole mantra is, I am going to do whatever it takes for me to escape this poverty because I have seen the way my parents have lived, and I do not want to live that sort of life. And that's a real thing that's happening in today's society. So hence, when it comes to morality and what CEO is saying, money is not everything, that does not resonate with them. You're saying that, and it's like, what are those?
What do you mean?
What are you saying?
What is this one saying?
So having heard that, what are your thoughts on that?
Money is not everything, to start with.
Why?
And then people will say money is not everything, it's the only thing. No, no. You see, there has been a mass migration of this young generation from the rural areas to the urban areas. Most of us don't like staying in the rural areas, but if you look closely, the previous generation, our grandparents, our older aunties, our older sisters, they could inculcate those values, those societal values that we had into us. But now we go to school, we get done with school, we come to Nairobi, we go to the big cities, we start traveling the world. And now because I don't think I'm included in that.
Include yourself.
No, I'm not Gen Z. Well, the Gen Z are moving around life with no values, with no mission, with no purpose. You know, as a human being, you should have a purpose. And these are values that you were taught maybe by religion, by your pastor in Sunday school, but some of them skips those things. Now you have no purpose in life and you're out here looking for money wherever it comes from. You can do anything for money. Because CEO has just said he cannot take bribes. He cannot, and we've asked him why, because he said he's ethical. But the people can just do anything for money. Now, it's not the only thing. And then look at peer pressure. It's real. You come from the village, you cannot afford anything, and then you have that pressure. You see people doing the latest makeup, driving the latest cars. You want to fit into that system, so you're going to do anything. Social media is another factor where people are getting pressured over nothing. So I just feel like we should get back to our roots. In fact, I was impressed with BBI, but we didn't take it through. But it should come back again. There was the point of inculcating values into the school system. In putting those values like honesty, integrity, transparency, accountability. You know, there's small things, but even looking at myself right now, because I was taught in school, because I was taught by my church, because I was taught by my parents, by my older people that I used to listen to, I can make decisions knowing that I'm going to do this is why I'm doing this, or I'm not going to do this, and this is the reason. Not just taking anything from anywhere. And that is what our Gen Z lack. But it's not hate. It's not hate against the younger generation. The younger generation should be molded, and there should be that link on how this older generation is going to mold this younger generation, so that we're not hating on each other. They feel like they don't like us, and we feel like, no, we don't like them.
What do you think?
I feel like there's an addiction to immorality too. Like once they start, stopping is hard. And it mostly comes from what are others doing that I'm not. That is the question they always ask themselves. Because you find that if right now your phone gets lost today, your first instinct will be replacing it. An iPhone gets lost, your first instinct's replacing it. So no matter how expensive it is, you'll want to replace it. So there's an addiction to immorality that comes with, if this gives me money and it sustains my lifestyle, then I will do it. But let's not also forget that the society is also pressuring these people. And by the virtue that the parents that raise them, you know, most of these Gen Zs, they have these parents who have been working so hard to provide for them.
Yeah.
Like, you see, it's not like the old days whereby if I come home, my mom is home. My dad is working, my mom is home. That was mostly the case.
8 to 5.
Nowadays, the most case is, I'll see my parents on weekend, maybe. I'm 19. I'll see my parents on weekends, maybe. But then mom has to leave in the afternoon to go to Chama. And in the morning, we went to church. She had salon on Saturday, so I was not with her. And dad, you know, he's not seen his friends, so he has to hang out with his friends. So people are so much busy to parent now. And by the virtue that they are so much busy to parent, and it's not up to them. My boss does not want to see me come to job looking shaggy. So sometimes it's not their fault. But by the virtue that also in schools they meet kids who have similar backgrounds from home, but they have more freedom maybe, or more exposure, or yes, maybe in your home this is not available, but in my home it's available. When those are 19, 18-year-olds who will now join campus, and then they will be introduced to this. Like I remember when I was in campus, there was once a scandal whereby one roommate discovers that the house that they are living in is paid for by the father of the roommate. Like,
oh my God.
My dad pays my rent without me knowing, because my dad is dating my roommate.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They are not scared of what age, what grounds I'm going to work. They're not scared of ruining families anymore.
Bills should be paid.
Bills should be paid, and I need this kind of life. There's no way you're buying a 3,000 bob shoes and I'm wearing a 1,500. No. We have to. And the problem with that is we are ruining, you know,
Ruining what?
this is the funny part. We are scared of what our kids will turn out to be, because if these are going to be now the parents of other children, where is the society 50 years from now? Because these are going to be parents too. And how are you going to stop your children and say, this is wrong, when you knew very well that immorality was? But by the virtue that I would urge parents, just as much as you're busy, try and be present. And that is where money is not everything comes in. If the parents would stop chasing every coin and forget parenting, then that is where the problem in the generation will come. And if the teachers will stop being so like, we are just teaching you. It's a syllabus. Here is the syllabus. Take it. Guidance and counseling is not taken serious anymore.
It's not.
The education that the kids are getting right now is a syllabus. We just need you to pass because we need to do this school to do better than that school. Who cares? We just need the society to not be rotten to a point whereby we'll walk the streets and feel like our daughters are home safe and they are doing their careers. They want to be lawyers and doctors and teachers and journalists. They are doing all these careers because their morality was more important, because immorality is addictive.
True. Once you start, it's hard to go back. Very true.
What do you think?
I think, first of all, we just need to have a national conversation. A national conversation like, if you read Lee Kuan Yew, the founding father of Singapore, his book, his autobiography, they decided, and he knew that the country will get to such levels of what we are talking about. So they had a discussion on marriage and youth and values. If a country does not take care of its youth, when the youth are at their prime, the country will have to really, really suffer when those guys grow up, and we will bestow them the leadership of the country. So it is in the country's interest, it is in Kenya's interest, to have a national conversation of how we want to raise our people in a certain value system. Now, secondly, there's another thing we need to look at. We have talked about so many things about immorality, sex, and issues of alcoholism and drugs. And you know the areas where we have seen that the government the other day did something on alcohol, on banning of the second generation alcohol. And it is not, my idea is that they did not pick the right approach on how to deal with it, but they needed to involve more stakeholders to come with a proper framework on how to deal with that. But then, what Elachi was talking about in Kilimani, the new generation, and I know at our time everyone has always had their drinking spree and all that. The only problem I have is that this new group who calls themselves Aluta, if you can walk into a club on Friday and leave on Sunday,
You can imagine.
then we have a problem.
What's the, to do?
That's why we need a discussion.
Yeah.
If you, in this country, we know there's a new system where young men and women get to the club on Friday, they call themselves a looter, and come out the next day on a Sunday evening. So 3 days, someone has been in the bar, non-stop. If you ask anyone, is it a productive lifestyle? No. Secondly, the escort business is also posing a bigger threat. When women are not told how they're supposed to behave, it becomes an issue. And you've seen when Shiz Kemunto is talking about, and people are confessing that, a girl there confessed that I have my job where I sit, I make sure that I target men with money, I sleep with them, and I've been infecting them with HIV because I was infected. Same way. And the girl narrates of how many men she sleeps with and she targets in a certain area in this city. and that she expects, and she takes a note and writes, today I slept with 3, so I'm probably have infected 2, I've slept with 4 every day.
Like a hit list.
It's a hit list.
Hey.
Now, that's why I say we need a conversation. Now, finally, look at the way we've opened our borders to each and every person who wants to live in this country. Nairobi, for me, and I've always said in this show, has become an expatriate town. It has become a town of different people. If you go to Kilimani, you'll find the Nigerians are there, the Congolese, the Rwandese, the Pakistani. In fact, your neighbor might not be. If you go to the salons, the people who are making your hair are Rwandese. People who are selling shoes are Burundians. People who are doing what? Ugandans. So eventually the city has lost its core value. And all these cultures have come to the city and it's become a melting pot where now we do not have any system. And these guys, what they say, they come with their own ideas, their own skills, their mission, and strategies. And that's where we have found ourselves in an area where sex is for all. Young girls, I saw a young girl, a 19-year-old girl, calling a 25-year-old girl old. I laughed.
That is true. No, that is a real thing. That is a thing. Yeah.
I would remind that girl that she should apologize to the 25-year-old girls. Because even a 25-year-old girl is not yet even married.
Not even married.
So why are you saying these old women of 25-year-old? A 25-year-old is in the same age bracket as 19. She's just out of campus, a year or 2. She's just finding her feet. But the biggest mistake people see is when you think that you are too young, and in 10 years, you'll be there. You must apologize to the guys who are 35 and 45 because you'll find yourself there. You have done nothing for yourself.
Yes.
The money you're earning from this cheap, I call it cheap prostitution.
Why do you say it's cheap?
You're splashing it because that money is not going to help you. You're splashing.
You live in a
You have no
bedsitter.
investment.
You live in a
Nothing to
bedsitter.
show for it.
You are buying very expensive clothes and you're buying an expensive phone.
For Instagram.
And for Instagram, and you're taking photos. And in 10 years, you expect to have built a mansion.
How?
But
here's the thing. Even just for a caveat, even on the social media aspect of it all, is that because as a content creator, you're creating an expensive phone to create content. Yeah. So now, and creating content is what now lures in, now quote unquote, shows your quote unquote value. And what happens a lot, even with the popularization of Instagram, what happens is beauty has been put on a high pedestal in this society. So what happens when beauty is on a high pedestal, so the people who are willing to actually access that beauty, be it the older guys, also put the onus on them. The responsibility is on them because I also don't put so much pressure on the ladies. If the ladies will not be doing this, if they are not being, facilitated.
Money, yeah.
So when the beauty is put on a pedestal and a man is willing to actually now offer that, she will take it. Even I say, ladies, do it with the sense that if you're willing to now create even content from that and create a sustainable living, I'll say continue with it, but do it with moderation. Also exercise your morality with a sense of common sense. Also invest somewhere.
Yeah.
Invest somewhere.
You can't invest. The money is not
somewhere.
enough.
No,
the money is not enough to invest because you need to be like so and so. You see, you need to be like so and so. The money is not enough to invest.
Well,
what do you say, Esther?
Younger generation, let's listen to our older generation, and older generation, let's listen to our younger generation, so we can find the coexistence. And enter the next story. It has been the longest crime story in Kenya.
Yeah.
We've all witnessed it. And now Joey has been sentenced to death, has been given a death sentence, right?
Yeah.
And Maribe was acquitted. And Joey's friend spoke up on Instagram, noting that Joey wasn't the murderer and he should say the murderer. And out of all that, Mamito is a content creator. And she kind of made fun of that situation. Is this content incompetence? CEO.
Men,
Start.
Interesting, but let me say, first of all, I like Mamito's content. But this time, I think she did not understand the gravity of the matter. I think she's one of, to many content creators, I like watching her because she resonates with her audiences and people who live in certain areas very well. And I think she's very talented, very creative, and good at what she does. Only that this one, she jumped on the bandwagon and actually made fun of what we shouldn't make fun of. And I think learning is a curve. She's a young girl. She'll pick it from there. But I wanted to take my position in the issue of Joey and the judgment. First of all, Joey's biggest mistake has always been, and he has 14 days to appeal, which, of course, will give him another chance. He might still walk out free. And the friends are not doing him a good service. If they know Joey did not commit the crime, they would have been the people, when the witnesses were being called, they would have taken the stand and said, we know this man, we were with him, and this is what he told us in private that he didn't commit this murder. But also, I would say that I realized that Justice Nzioka is very methodological in her approach. And she walked us through the law. And the law has 4 components on dealing with murder. And she walked us through the 4 components. And I'll talk of the last component, and which she used to pronounce the death sentence. And that's when you say the deterrence. The law goes, he looked at the other 3, and the 4th one is deterrence. The deterrence part of law is when, 1, the crime was serious crime. It was done in a manner to suggest that there was no, you didn't give that person a chance to fight or survive or anything. So it becomes deterrence in law, that you are supposed to be put away and be dealt with because it was criminal, and it was not only criminal. There's a way you can kill someone when you're fighting and someone dies. Accidental. That's accidental. Then when the judge takes the law, he'll look at it and says, Simon did not want to kill this person. Is inadvertently he killed him. But this one, you slit someone's throat and try to clear the evidence. So it's deterrence. That's why the death sentence was pronounced. So I think the judge did a fantastic job in explaining the law. And she did it very well. My only issue with the Joey case is that the people who are now talking should have stood for the man. And remember, I said that there's a chance for Joey because justice relied upon circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence is what is availed. It is not any other evidence. That one you can, if you get another lawyer, you can still walk out free. There are people who have gone to court when they had death sentence and they've actually walked out free. Secondly, if Joey did not commit this murder, who committed this murder? Where are they? So his appeal and his appeal lawyer should deal with this thing. But what I learned, which was most profound from this case, is that no matter how things are bad, it's only a mother and your father who will be besides you.
That is true.
No matter, and remember, family can be toxic. But remember, when shit hits the fan, the only person who was sitting with Joey at that moment, the death sentence was pronounced, was the mother, the father, and I suspect the sister. All these characters you tweet with, you rush, you do social media with, they are the first people to disown you. These people you spend a lot of money with, drinking with, they are the first people to scatter. So that case should be a learning curve for every Kenyan out there to know that family comes first. no matter what.
That's good. Now, for me, I'll speak as a content creator.
Yeah.
And as a content creator aspect when it comes to Mamito. One key thing is, especially as a content creator, when you're creating content, especially when you're a comedian, when it's not funny, it can be taken as a bad joke or maliceful. Because comedy is making fun of something. You have to remember you're making fun of something, and sometimes you're making it at the expense of someone. You can accept a joke if it was genuinely funny and from whence it came from. Like, for example, a good joke can actually, now we're talking about your sweater or something. If you know Simon is genuinely coming from a good place, you can actually now, okay, so that's a funny joke. If it was funny. If it was a bad joke, you'd be like, wait. Now you can be taken as, that's actually a hate comment. So my message to you is, it's not that you shouldn't have joked about it. That's not the issue. The issue is the piece of content that you made was actually not funny. It did not equate to actually humorous. Because if it was humorous, that would have been praised as this was actually a nice twist, angle. Even her bad singing, like, oh, Joey, Joey. You see all that. It ended up being screechy and not actually funny and almost irritating. So when you're creating content, especially if you are a funny content creator, you want to be humorous, what you have to note is this. If you're making fun of a situation and an occurrence, know that it's two extremes. You're either going to be positively if it's actually humorous and taken positively, or if it's not, then it's actually going to be maliceful. And actually that means that you are poking fun at a certain situation and at an individual. That is the thin line you're walking in when it actually comes to comedy. And one thing that she has done is she has stood her ground, and the piece of content is still out there. Now the reason is, and she's standing her ground, she's saying that, oh, I'm glad that you Kenyans have now all united to come speak out against me and everything. I totally understand that. But a self-reflective moment, especially when you're a comedic and a funny content creator, is note that when you are creating comedic content at the expense of someone else, just take note that if it's not funny, you are going to be on the back end of that, and you should take note and then adjust. The best thing would have been like this. You see that piece of content that she actually made, and then it was actually not funny. You literally can do the reverse and do the extreme opposite of that piece of content, and then just create now another aspect of that same piece of content. Now just bring the whole other, instead of saying, oh, Joey, you could have whatever, and it's not even just like what you said, look at how all your friends have left you, whatever, maybe take note of all your friends, and then now make a skit about something funny about that, and still, same scenario, just a different joke, and hence, you're viewed as, I'm a content creator who can adjust, and I'm diverse. Even I'm recognized when my audience speaks up when I say something that is actually not funny. That is the key thing as for many content creators out there.
But you know, the content creators don't have control, and that is also wrong.
Yes.
By the virtue that there is no control, that is really wrong. But let me first speak on Joey. It's so sad. Like, it's very, very sad. I cannot even begin to imagine what the mom is going through right now. I cannot even begin to imagine. Now, someone comes and then takes, this is actually a matter of life and death. Let's be realistic. You just don't make, empathy does not fly out the window when you see, when things are that bad. Like, you just need to have a little empathy and know that this was wrong, and the timing was actually extremely wrong. No matter what the comedy she's doing, no matter how much funny she is, in this situation, it was really bad. But right now, if that is what she's doing, imagine now this generation that it does not have control, how will it be when in future you want them to have at least control of what they're putting out there, and no one cares.
Yes.
They don't even care about what they put out there, because no one is controlling that. Because in this situation, this was bad. This was really bad. I'm sure a lot of people in this nation were sad. They were feeling, like, we all felt it. Like,
It was a serious moment.
It's a very serious moment. I don't think that is the time comedians should be shining with their talents at that time. Okay, no offense to Mamito, you're amazing, you're beautiful.
Well,
but it's the truth.
yes.
Yeah.
And the government needs to put moderation.
Okay,
on,
same one is short.
moderation on content that is getting out here.
No.
Because when you look
You're
at
bad.
yes, we need to moderate what content is coming live, what content is coming to our feeds.
And that is one way we can train our children to have good
Exactly,
morals.
because
The only way we can teach our children to have good morals, that is the first way.
yes,
Because the content,
moderation.
right now they all have gadgets. They're watching
say
things
something?
that are really
Moderation.
bad.
Let me finish.
Go ahead,
Let
complete
Esther
your
finish.
statement. I have to say this. Go ahead.
Because you see, when you're protecting, there's the freedom of expression, yes. But now the Kenya Film Classification Board now comes in to regulate the people from consuming harmful content and also promoting dignity on that platform. You can't post anything, yes. That's why the other day there was a singer who was arrested from Kisii because he used some very funny words.
Gross, yeah,
Yes.
that guy.
Yes,
He's a
so you
madman.
can't just put anything out there because on social media, people feel like it's an open space where you can do anything you want to do.
Yeah.
Now there needs to be moderation. That's why
And you are
even-
teaching. Your aim is to inspire someone.
Yes, so
now
we need
imagine
to
that is
know
the inspiration you're putting
that
out
we
there.
need to know
That
what
is
is
really
going out
wrong.
on TikTok because people have been exploiting TikTok Live. You know that, you know about
Yes,
that.
I know that.
They've been exploiting TikTok Live. They're posting whatever they need to post, and even the apps themselves, they need to have those moderation standards where whatever you post, if it's offensive, because with Mamito, there was some words she was using there. When you go to jail, you will find what. You know, I was hearing those words. I was like, this is very offensive. Because I know, like YouTube, if you mention some words, your video is pulled down.
Copyright.
Yes, so there needs to be that moderation, so that we need to have some control because we're not mad people.
Here's the thing. When you say government should come in and moderate, that is the worst decision that you can ever say. Who is going to speak out against the government? And the government will always overstep its boundary. What in the world are you saying about a government which is coming to even steal your money every single now and then, and you can't even trust them with your own money? Now you're telling them that,
Well,
No, but I feel like morals are common
That is
sense.
We
the
have-
I feel like the government can have
No.
I don't-
Yes.
We have the KFC.
Let me help you guys.
No, I don't think the government does not know morals.
Out there.
The government knows morals.
CEO owns the space.
Listen,
I will speak.
There's always something I always say that, one, if you cannot self-regulate yourself, you invite an outsider to regulate you.
Yes.
And this is what the conversation I think any content creator out there should have, and we should be having. The media has its own body which regulates the media. You know why? Because you do not wait for the government to come in, so that you do not have those nudities in the media, you don't expose kids, these are child's act and right. All these things, you sit down as people who are in that environment and agree that these ones we have to keep off so that we continue with content creation.
Yes.
That's why these two ladies are telling you that the government should come in. No, the government is always the last resort. First of all, the Association of Content Creators should sit down and analyze and realize that there's a serious threat that content is posing to humanity in some quarters. And there's this serious thing which it is helping us with. So we keep the good, we ban and banish the bad. And you self-regulate.
Yes, I agree to some extent, but here's the only issue I have against the talk about regulation, especially in the context of Kenya. Regulation in the platforms is already there. Instagram already has regulations, TikTok already even has regulations, certain songs, even Universal, you can't even use them, they mute the sound. There's already regulations on various platforms that's already there. And it's already been standardized and it's there. Any more added on regulation could even lead to a point where you're controlling a narrative where you can only talk this way. And the only thing is, that's the only, because when it comes to regulation, it can easily, for example, any board, even KFCB is a government entity. For example, even it's a third party, which can also be influenced. That one, KFCB technically does not come into like me just individually posting. even like you individually posting. That comes in when you're actually doing a film production, those other things for mass distribution, and of course being mass display, be it on mass media. But social media in itself is separate. It's a separate entity on its own. That in itself, it should not actually now KCB is not coming here telling you, or you cannot do that because of
But
whatever.
if it's immoral, it's immoral. But if it's wrong, it's wrong. If there's no empathy, it's wrong.
According to who? According to who? That's the thing. You have to say according to
Humanity.
No, here's what I mean. Here's what I mean. When you start having that little moral clause and start saying that if it's wrong, it's wrong according to you. If I want to view that piece of content,
and that's why you are encouraging
immorality, and I search on a platform that has been allowed in Kenya, and then I can watch it. That is no.
And those platforms should be regulated.
Because I'm a content creator. Because that's the thing.
We're not saying they should be banned. Just regulated.
Simon,
yes.
Relax.
Yeah, I can't relax. I'm a content creator.
No.
Listen, and I'll tell you for a fact that even the media resisted it.
Yeah, okay.
Regulation. No, listen, even the media sometimes resisted this thing, regulation and all that. Laws change, narratives change. It's a new environment. That freedom is still there. But I'm telling you, I've lived here longer. The windows will start coming.
It's
closing. It will close.
Because
it will close. Because the extremes of what people are doing.
Yeah.
But the good content, the one people who are doing specific good content, which you know are good,
like mine,
no one will have a problem with.
Then
but
why are
those
you
guys
defending bad?
who are doing many bad things in that content game,
those rules are the ones now I want to make sure that we have stakeholders in there to actually now
and that's what I'm saying.
live by CG now your own.
And that's what I'm saying.
Good happen, you start telling me.
No, but I'm telling you. Remember my position was
humanity.
The best thing is that first of all, an organization must always self-regulate.
Yes.
If you do not,
other people will come in and actually regulate you even further.
And will regulate you. So it's the time to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Content creators should be sitting down and say, this ones we are going overboard. You guys and this one we will not allow. And have an association.
We should be the change we want to be.
Yes.
And then now, after that, people will say, when the government comes, they tell you, no, but they have these are our policies. This is how we control our environment. This is what we do. These other people are not part of us. This is what we are. I think we end it there, ladies and gentlemen.
Have the association in mind, and then you will be the change before the government comes for your content.
Yes.
And if you want good content, you can also even follow me, Simon Says, on all social media platforms. We have kept it real this week.
Wow. And Esther Nyonje on YouTube.
And Maria, please.
It has been a good conversation.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah, be good.
Simon.
Yes. We
need regulations. It's been a good conversation and I've enjoyed today's
Now I understand why you are not seated next to him.
You see, today I'm okay. I'm a bit calm.
You're not boiling, eh?
Yeah, I'm not boiling.
Simon.
That position.
See you next week. Bye-bye.